let's talk about Elizabeth Taylor. She was a child actress and star of the 1940s blockbuster Lassie Come Home and National Velvet. And from there, she went on to Father of the Bride in 1950, and then stunning adult performances in A Place in the Sun and all these incredible Tennessee Williams movies, Cat on a Hot Tin Roof and Giant with James Dean and Rock Hudson in 1956. She won Best Actress Oscars for Butterfield 8 in 1960, and of course, Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf in 66. Along the way, she was married to 7 men. She married Richard Burton twice, and in the final stages of her life, she became a humanitarian, raising hundreds of millions of dollars for AIDS research. Okay, so is there anything that you'd like to comment on any of the information that you've provided us with before we actually start to talk about the jewelry, Marion?
Well, I think that, right now in New York, certainly, I think across the country, if not the world, we're so focused on Elizabeth Taylor's possessions because she was really, when she started making movies in the 1940s, Hollywood was still in the studio system. It's when we had the great iconic actors of, the 20th century. She grew up in that. And they lived grand and they lived large. And, people have been saying to me in New York, it's like, well, we won't see those times again. And I sort of feel like saying, well, we never really saw them before. This is
Yes.
Elizabeth Taylor, and she lived, I think, larger than any other actor in Hollywood because she really came up in the studio system, so she knew how to be a movie star. But then the studio system ended, which meant that, individual actors could negotiate their own contracts. And she was the first actress ever to, it doesn't seem like a lot of money now, but in the day, to earn $1 million for a movie, which was Cleopatra. So I think that her life is just so rich that we actually forget about her movie star status and that she really was this extraordinary actress, from the moment she was in National Velvet, she was a star. And then her movies that she made, Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, which you mentioned, or A Place in the Sun, I mean, these are serious films. And she was an incredible actress.
That's exactly, when you talk about her life was grand, and she had this beauty, and as I keep looking at her pictures, she was a woman that really, if I could say, was depicts jewelry in the sense of that she looked like jewelry, if you could say that in that sense. I mean, she was just magnificent, romantic, sexy. She had everything about her that a woman would want to, really represent herself in. I mean, she was just so diverse in the way that she was, and then again was a phenomenal actress, but really radiated on the screen.
Absolutely. I mean, it's true. She was just one of the most beautiful women in the world during her heyday. Yeah, I mean, she was always beautiful, but really when she was, a movie star and working out in Hollywood, and then on through the 60s and 70s, she was just so stunning to behold. Yeah. Amazing. And people say that when she entered a room, it was just star power extraordinaire.
So as we're talking, Brooke and I are listening to you and just enamored by all of your wealth and knowledge about Elizabeth Taylor. So share more, please. We want to hear more. We're just so enlightened.
Well, you were just saying that there's no one else really like her today. And I think about that in the actress aspect. I think the person that is really comes closest to Elizabeth Taylor's sort of persona in that she's an actress and a humanitarian and a great beauty is Angelina Jolie.
That's who I was going to say, too. It's the only one I could think of.
Exactly. And it's interesting because I think that the difference is Angelina doesn't seem to have a lot of interest in jewelry. She did a collection of jewelry. I know that Brad gives her lovely things, but it's not this full obsession, with jewelry.
Yes.
That Elizabeth Taylor has. But it's interesting because she's going to star in Oliver Stone's Cleopatra. So so the similarities continue to line up for the two of them because, Brad and Angelina are certainly of the stature of Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton.
Yes. Though I have to interject, and again, this is my opinion, I think that Angelina Jolie is absolutely magnificent. I saw her on 60 Minutes 2 weeks ago when they interviewed her, and she is a magnificent and flawless beauty. But Elizabeth Taylor, I think the thing that sets her still apart is that there's almost like a royalty about Elizabeth Taylor, that she captivates you in that way. You look at her and you feel like she could have been queen of whatever. I don't know.
She could have been Cleopatra, right?
Absolutely. That's exactly right, Brooke. She could have been Cleopatra. So it'll be interesting to see how Angelina, if she can do the same.
I agree. Elizabeth Taylor also enhanced her royal qualities by wearing tiaras.
Yes.
I saw pictures. Those are amazing.
Yes. And I love even the way she's in this one photograph, and I don't want to get ahead of ourselves here about the jewelry, but how she's holding the pearls almost like she's masquerading. I mean, the woman just had this grace about her that just sort of, I don't know. She just had such a panache that was really just captivated you. I keep using that word because that's all I see. She was a treasure. Marion, you used that word the last time. She was a treasure to us.
She was. And I think that a great thing about Elizabeth Taylor is that she was a public person. She said at different points, I don't remember a time not being famous. And, she also said, she had so many great remarks about her jewelry. And one time she said, "My mother says I didn't open my eyes for 8 days after I was born. When I did, the first thing I saw was an engagement ring, and I was hooked."
This is what I love about you, Marion. You have all these little secrets kept away in your brain.
Yeah, I do. It's